To what extent is human behavior the result of independent actions? And to what extent do people take cues for actions from those around them?
Here's a fella with his hat on in the elevator.
How are we influenced by group pressure?
Charlie closes the door. A moment later, we'll open the door. Everybody's changed positions. Now we'll see if we can use group pressure for some good. Now, in a moment, on Charlie's signal, everybody turns forward. Notice they take off their hats. And now, do you think we could reverse the procedure? Watch.
In the early 1950s, Dr. Solomon Asch conducted a controlled laboratory investigation of conformity. His experiment was quite simple. Individuals were to identify which of 3 comparison lines was closest in length to a standard stimulus line. The catch was that 6 of the 7 participants were actually accomplices of Asch. The person sitting in the 6th position at the table was the only real subject. After the first few trials, the Confederates began giving an obviously wrong answer to see if the subject would go along with them. Although many subjects initially showed resistance and expressed some doubts as they made a series of judgments, 3/4 ended up agreeing with an obviously wrong answer at least once. The social pressure exerted by the group was simply too strong. Asch's experiments were done 50 years ago. The world was much different then. Television was in its infancy, personal computers were unheard of, and individuals had less contact with others through the mass media. Are people different today? Dr. Anthony Pratkanis, a social psychologist at the University of California at Santa Cruz, has been studying conformity in the context of contemporary society.
Conformity is going along with the group, modeling your responses after what the group is doing exactly what the crowd, what everybody else is performing.
People today are generally considered more self-aware and sophisticated about the effects of social influence. But are they less subject to conformity? Dr. Pratkanis decided to find out.
There will be a stimulus line over here on your left-hand side. And all you'll need to do is to pick which of these lines is the same as the stimulus line. And we'll go around in order, and all you need to do is state the number. We'll start with subject number 1. What is your response?
2.
Subject number 2.
2.
Subject number.
On the first 2 trials, the Confederates matched the stimulus line to the standard line, giving the right answer.
5.
2.
Subject number 6.
2.
Subject number 7.
2.
On the 3rd trial and thereafter, the Confederates give the obviously incorrect response.
1.
Subject 3.
1.
Subject 4.
1.
Subject 5.
1.
Subject 6.
2.
Subject 7.
1.
Subject 1.
2.
Subject 2.
2.
Subject 3.
As this subject hears the rest of the group give the wrong answer, he initially resists the influence of group pressure.
Subject 6. 1. Subject
Most subjects start out defying the group, but after repeated trials, many of them begin to conform.
2.
Subject 4.
2.
Subject 5.
2.
Subject 6.
2.
Subject 7.
2.
Subject number 4, what is your response?
1.
Subject number 5.
1.
Subject number 6, your turn.
1.
Their voices may drop. They may know they're giving the wrong answers, but they eventually give in.
Number 5.
2.
Subject number 6.
2.
50 years later, we can set up that same exact experiment and get nearly the same exact results as Solomon Asch. We found that the majority of subjects in our experiment would conform at least once. That is, they would go along with the Confederates when they picked the wrong answer at least once. The majority of the subjects.
So why do people conform when they know that they're doing or saying something that is inconsistent with objective reality?
2. Subject 7.
2.
The group takes on a total reality. You're into that reality. There's no outside. This is what the group is saying. This is what the reality is that they're creating. And so you're in that and you see that, and the pressures come on you, and so you conform.
It's one thing to conform when the effect is inconsequential, but what happens when the stakes are high?
Incorrect. You'll now get a shock of 75 volts.
To address this question, Stanley Milgram set up a classic experiment in which he assessed our tendency to obey authority.
But what was different in this experiment was this. What the subject did, at least in their minds, had consequences. They started out delivering shocks. Any shock's painful, but these shocks got progressively more painful, all the way to extreme pain.
Exactly what's going to happen and what you're supposed to do. The teacher will read a list of word pairs to you like these.
In Milgram's study, subjects were paid to participate in what they were told was an experiment on the effects of punishment on learning. Subjects were told that they would be the teacher. They were instructed to ask questions of a respondent in an adjoining room. The respondent, or learner, was actually an accomplice in the study. The experimenter stood by to act as an authority figure.
Begin.
Blue girl. Nice day.
The subject presented the learner with a set of word pairs that the learner was expected to remember. The learner was then given a stimulus word along with 4 other words.
Green. Grass, hat, ink, apple. Answer, please.
His task was to recall which of those 4 words was originally paired with the stimulus word. The respondent indicated his choice by pushing a button corresponding to one of the 4 words. If the wrong answer was given, the experimenter ordered the subject to administer an electric shock to the learner. The shock started at 15 volts and progressed up to 450 volts, indicated on the control panel as danger, extreme shock.
Incorrect. You'll now get a shock of 105 volts.
The respondent, of course, was not actually receiving the shock. To the subject, however, the learner was experiencing more and more pain.
Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me. Let me out of here. You have no right to keep me here. Let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out.
Continue, please.
Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me.
Go on.
Let me out.
Responsible for it. Red. That is incorrect. This will be at 3:30. The correct phrase is rich
Let me out of
boy.
here. Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me. Let me out, I tell you. Let me out of here. Let me out of here. You have no right to hold me here.
The next phrase is fast.
The surprising and disturbing results of the Milgram experiment reveal how obedience can take precedence over moral sense. Many subjects initially showed reluctance to administer shock, especially when the learner complained about a heart condition and the increasing level of pain. But in the end, 2/3 of the subjects obeyed authority and administered the highest level of shock, 450 volts.
The answer is duck. 435 volts. It says danger, severe shock here. Next X on the next one.
Continue, please.
435 volts. Next one, brave. Woman, soldier, dog, horse.
These subjects were ordinary, well-intentioned people. Conformity and obedience are obviously powerful forces. But do conformity and obedience always have undesirable consequences?
As human beings, this is part of who we are. That sometimes we go along with the group. We're social animals. We live in groups. We live with other people. And conformity is oftentimes needed so that we can live with others. Imagine what would happen on the highway if everybody decided to do their own thing. Not drive on the right-hand side of the road. When it says stop, they yield. When it says yield, they accelerate. Whatever. Do your own thing. Well, we would not be able to even go 1 block on the road in safety if that occurred. So oftentimes conformity serves a very useful function. And when I look at the studies like Ash and Milgram and the high-intensity conformity experiments, a lot of people feel pessimistic. Oh, how can people do this? I feel just the opposite. I feel optimistic. We understand why this is going on. We understand what we humans can do. And because we understand what's going on in these situations, we can make a choice not to live this way.